supposed to, but.
Yes, but I ran the Google Hangout because Brent hasn't really done it. So Brent's running the discussion. Okay, so then I'll go back and timestamp this. I forgot that I was doing the video.
And by timestamping, are you just finding out on the video what the number is and making note of that?
Yes, that's actually one of the required things for this assignment is to know when you have a vote.
Mm-hmm.
So I vote yes, it was doomed from the beginning.
I also vote yes.
That's my vote too.
We don't really have any disagreement.
No. Let me read these 2 bullet points that are here with the question. This is beginning with those who say it was a promising business model. Tell the group what you like about it. Provide convincing argument in favor of the business. What evidence from the case can you use to support your position? Those who feel cake was doomed from the outset to try to convince the group why, which assumptions turned out to be false.
Well, I guess I can kind of make an argument for the first one. I think the idea was good, and obviously it was good because he was able to build up a lot of, venture capital, and other people agreed that it was good. Professionals in the industry did. So I think maybe from the outset the business model was good. It was promising, but it probably wasn't really till he launched the business and kind of skipped over the whole, trying to validate his hypothesis about each, his value proposition, his customer segment. That's really where he failed. So maybe just from the beginning in the business model, what it would look like, hey, this is what we're going to do. That was promising, but he just didn't execute it well. So maybe I can give a little argument towards the first one.
Well, I agree with you because it said that only 6% of the people who invested were happy with their investment strategy information. And so that gave him 94% of the market to be able to come up with giving them what they needed, but he didn't quite hit the mark. So
yeah, great idea, just really bad execution.
Something that really caught my attention was it said that he made at least 20 pitches to investors before he started or he created his product, and all but one of them told him to come back later,
Yeah.
So obviously there wasn't a lot of people that were extremely interested, or at least interested enough to put their money on the line for his company.
Yeah.
And that's an argument for number 2, that it was doomed.
Yeah. Although he did end up getting a lot of venture capital.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just because he didn't do that research. He just jumped right into it, ran one focus group, and then launched his product. Mm-hmm. The product was all wrong. That's the segment was all wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess comparing this a little bit to Rent the Runway last week, those 2 ladies that started that business ran a few different focus groups. They actually did a lot of research. And their company ended up working out, whereas he only ran one.
Yeah, they did a good job. You mean the Rent the Runway girls?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they pivoted too, which I didn't see him change avenues a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next question if you guys are still there, or if you're not frozen.
I'm here. Sorry, I had to send a text to another group. Sorry.
You're good. Discuss Stephen's approach to the opportunity. Try to understand what, if anything, Stephen could have done. Do you want me to?
You keep on
breaking up
or freezing. I think it's a bad
connection. Respect, sure.
But
do I have a bad connection, or can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's temperamental.
Oh, dang.
That's all right. I think we can just read it for ourselves.
Did you hear the question, or can you see him?
Yeah, I'm looking at the questions.
I have it up on the screen myself. I'm typing what we talk about as we go. Just it will work better for me to do it this way. I like it.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
following along as you read.
I think in a lot of ways we've already kind of talked about these things. Maybe we
did.
jumped ahead in our conversation too much, but I think he should have. He never created his minimum viable product. He never went out and said, okay, this is the base of what this is going to look like. And I think, as kind of he said, most investors didn't want. If he would have had some kind of product like that, and then received, oh, this is what we want, this is what we don't want, we like this, we don't like this, or talk to people about social media and found out, oh, do you do the investing in your family? Oh, no, I don't. My husband does that. Or, or like, does your husband use social media? No, he never posts on social media or cares about social media. If she would have done things like that, or if he would have done things like that, he would have been able to know who his customer segment was right in the beginning. And he wouldn't have had to go through all this year and a half of failure, really.
That's exactly right. Because I did the same thing. I'm going, well, he didn't even ask what they wanted. He just jumped right in. So.
Yeah, and it kind of it says on page 10, Steven says, there's no way you could have learned this up front through interviews or focus groups. That's not true at all. That's completely false.
Yeah.
He didn't talk to the right people, and he didn't ask the right questions.
Yep, I completely agree with that. As a group, identify the main reasons for Cake's failure. So I think that we've come up with he didn't have enough knowledge and background and research. I think that's probably his first reason for failure. He kind of just jumped right in, went to work without knowing all the details.
Definitely.
And do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And it says here, what low-cost experiment could Steven have done to test the assumptions behind the main reasons for his failure? You don't have to pay anything to talk to people. Talking to people is free. He just didn't get out. He just went along with his assumption. He saw that the focus group validated his assumption, and he was good with it and went out. He didn't look for any, differing opinions. So, just talking to people, I think that's the easiest experiment he could have done. And he could have even ran, and he gave up running the beta to enter this competition to get some media coverage. And I think that was a huge mistake also, because that's part of his, minimum viable product, putting it out there and getting feedback from customers. And that could have been a huge test of his hypothesis right there that, oh, everybody wants to share their investment information on social media, when that wasn't true at all.
Right. Okay. So that's another point. I wouldn't want my family to know a single thing about my finances.
Yeah.
I don't want them to know any of it. And I thought that was really odd, but I thought I just must be different from everybody. So
No, I wouldn't want that either.
So that's not a common platform in the investing, because I have investments, but I don't really know that much about it. So, but that's not a common platform to share with your friends and family.
No, I think the only way that works is if you have professionals, that are very confident about their investments. That works, but the average individual, I don't think, wants to share their investments because they don't feel confident about, I'm doing a good job, because they put it on there and they're scared. Oh, well, you should do this and this and this. You're doing really bad,
Well,
So,
and it's really just nobody's business.
yeah.
And so, okay, so that's another question I have. Is it a possibility to go on and see clients' information, their investment portfolio? Because not very many people would share that, right? It's not a public.
I don't think it was supposed to be public, but I think it was just creating a platform for people to talk about it and share information. And maybe not share exactly but maybe showing what their return was. I don't know. It wasn't too exact on that point.
It just didn't sound like a realistic, even a real program that was a possibility.
Yeah.
So I guess if you signed up for anything, everybody can be a part of that. But
yeah, I think that, I think if anything it had to do with social media, maybe it was creating a platform for people to discuss, like a community, but not to share their investment portfolios, which I think he was trying to do, which I just don't think people want to do that.
Well, that clarifies a lot for me. Thanks for, I'm just going, wait, this doesn't sound right. So that's good.
I missed some of that because you guys froze up, but I what you guys were talking about.
Oh, there you go.
You froze again. We didn't hear anything you said.
Sorry.
Well, whatever.
It's all right.
Next one.
Yeah, let's move on to the next case.
Okay. Let's look at question 3. Do you need me to read it to you, Susan?
No.
No, I think she has it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't see your face, but I have my page up on the screen.
Okay.
So I thought the VC industry, in 2009, from what I read, didn't look very attractive. They said something like 40% of business startups failed, 40%, returned just minimal returns, and then only 20%. And it talked about how, the top 3% of firms, returned 95% of the total returns in the VC industry. So that means that, 97% of the businesses were not returning anything, pretty much. So, obviously it was not attractive. And plus, we were also going through the slump, in 2008 hit. I'm sure that wasn't a good time for anybody in any kind of investing.
Where did you find those numbers? I did not see those numbers. I must have missed those. But that's very interesting.
Yeah, hold on. There. I take serious notes.
Yeah, because we had such a bad 2008 was such a bad year. It's on page 6.
Yeah.
On page 6.
Sorry, I take so many notes and so many classes, I lose track of things. Well, it's somewhere, but it's on page 6.
Okay. Anyways, I thought that's interesting. I'll look that up and try to learn more about that because I didn't see those numbers.
Yeah, it says 3% of VC firms made up 95% of all returns. If your VC firm was not the top 5 firm, it was most likely not going to succeed. And another thing too about the VC firm that I thought was interesting, they talked about the cost of online development was dropping. So it was a lot easier to create a website and to create online because the internet was becoming cheaper. There were more tools, more softwares. And so people didn't need VC firms as much. They were able to go through angel investors, which are just kind of private people, and they have a certain amount that they can invest up to. And, seed funds, rather than having to go to a venture capital firm and receive Series A financing and receiving millions and millions of dollars to be able to build a business, they were able to do it with less money and on their own. So I think that was another thing that, and they talked about, incubators, like there's a thing we read about in the Dropbox case, Y Combinator, that they kind of offer like classes and teaching. And that's kind of what I kind of felt like A16Z was kind of like an incubator in a lot of ways. And then also through crowdfunding, and people just didn't need VCs as much anymore. So I thought that was pretty unattractive about the VC industry at the time that they came in.
It was an interesting time to come in. I feel like if they would have come in sooner, they probably wouldn't have done as well as they ended up doing. If they had come in 2007, the recession hit 2008, but they came in at a time when, yeah, it was still pretty bad, but it was going to come up. So that might have been lucky on their part.
Yeah, and they definitely shook the industry up, they disrupted the industry. And that was probably why they were successful. And here it says, why, with all the entrenched incumbents and catch-22s and silver lining did they see? I think it was just that there was so much room for innovation within the industry. Every place was the same. It was a bunch of general partners sitting there and one guy making all the decisions and, just unattractive, and they wanted to run the business and they didn't want to empower the CEOs of the founders, So I think they just saw that they could change the whole industry, that there had been no innovation in the VC industry for a long time.
How does the operating team help A16Z source, pick, and win?
So this is kind of, I did a little, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm just trying to understand this question a little bit more. Maybe you can provide some insight. I was going to ask you what this means because I don't understand it.
So to source and pick and win. So what they're saying, like sourcing deals is like how many deals you get.
Yeah.
Or the quality of deals that you get. And then pick, you got to pick which ones are right, and then you help them to succeed. So I did a little research on that. I didn't really get that either. And so, and it talked about how normal VC firms, all they did was just, they had the general partners and they did like a super majority vote. And as long as they called him the silverback, the guy really in charge, the managing partner didn't veto it, they would go with it. And so the big difference between like A16Z's business models, that the general partners had a lot of they were really independent and they could make decisions. So, they could sit down, and if one guy said, I want to take this, or I think we should pick this, that was it, they picked it, and that was his case. And so it really opened up a lot of independent thinking, I think, and a lot of, and some other things they really did is they really kept track of what the top 5 firms, what deals that they were getting. And so because they kept track of this, they were able to reflect and say, why aren't we getting these deals, or why aren't we seeing all the deals that these guys are seeing? They're the top firms. We should be seeing the same thing if we want to be the top firm. And so because of their business model, and, that kind of got out that they didn't try to control your company, but they just kind of wanted to empower you to succeed in your company. I think that got out, and they were able to get the best deals, more deals, and then made it really easy to pick winning deals.
That was part of their sourcing, is right, is understanding the top 5%.
Yeah, and they tracked it really well to see what the top firms were getting, and were able to find a way to get those same deals pitched to them.
Thanks for your explanation on that. That helps clear that up.
No problem.
You guys ready to move on to number 5?
Sorry, I'm just reading the other little bullet points into this.
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we just talked about. Susan, do you have anything to say?
No, I don't see a number 5. I was on number 3 and then went to question 8. So my numbers are all off, but it doesn't matter.
Question 8. Where do you see a question 8?
Yeah, my formatting just numbered everything all over the place, but
you must be on Word or something.
So I wasn't following you around on the source and pick, but I did write down that we need to go with the silverback.
Okay, looks like the next one is the one that we vote on.
Yeah, I voted that they should.
That's what I was leaning towards too. I mean, it could be a risky move, but I believe that if they did double their assets under management, they would be able to venture out into other markets. They wouldn't just be stuck within the technology market that they were in there in Silicon Valley.
I kind of had a different opinion. I mean, I voted yes, but I thought they should stay in technology, just in different industries and technology, because that's where all their backgrounds are. Like I kind of think of, spreading somewhere else in the other industries. Like what are these guys going to know about starting an agricultural company?
Yeah, I guess.
Or what are they going to know about? All their backgrounds are in tech companies. So there's other industries of tech. They were focusing mainly on IT. They talked about going to like clean tech or some other kinds of tech, but I think that they should double their assets and should expand geography-wise, but not industry-wise.
Okay.
So I thought that was kind of my opinion. And then it kind of says here, like, they said each general partner was supporting 10. And some of their worries were that, hiring more general partners can destroy communication and maybe disrupt their business model. And, I think that's a risk, but it's something that has to be done. I don't think I think if you have too much workload on a general partner, that they're just going to be overrun and not able to give their all to those groups.
Yeah, going along with that, part of what I said was that they should take their time. If they're going to do this, they shouldn't try to do it quickly. I think that they should take their time in hiring the right people so that they can maintain their reputation. And also, like it mentioned, them venturing into even China. And if they're going to do that, they have to understand so many things. They have to understand the culture, and the businesses they're getting into. So I do like what you said about them staying within the IT and the technology market, because they know it and they could be successful worldwide in that market. So I didn't think about that, but I do believe that they should take their time and not do it too quickly, so that the right people get involved.
Yeah, and it talks about hiring more operating team people. They were worried that they couldn't, recreate their operating team somewhere else. But I mean, it has to be done,
Mm-hmm.
And I think the firm has to grow because there are economies of scale. Obviously, the bigger firms are doing better than the smaller firms, and they got to diversify their risk somehow. If they're only investing in IT, what if the IT field plummets? Then they're done. But if the IT field plummets, but clean tech goes up, then they're able to say, what, we lost in this area, but we gained a lot in this area.
Yeah, good point.
Well, and that's what I would have said. The word you used is diversify. And in all the businesses, they have to diversify to create the traction with a lot of different groups of people. And yet, like he showed us in his foundational work, wasn't really already a firm business yet. And so if he had the knowledge and the options to expand because he knew about that market, I think it would be okay. But without the foundational research and knowledge, I think that it would have been another failure.
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of says, will they make more money? I don't know if it's about, and especially for this team, I don't know if it's about the partners making more money. I don't know if they really care about that so much. It seems like they're kind of okay because they're not, people at other VC firms are already making more money, depending on the deals that they've made, but everyone's getting paid the same. And so, it says, well, or will additional profits go to hire more people? But you have to grow somehow. If you don't grow, then you're eventually just going to kind of fizzle out.
Mm-hmm. So if they're making more deals, then they would, if the people or themselves are, making those deals happen, then you think that would bring in enough to keep them going. If this is already proven that with the deals they've made, they've maintained enough to maintain their team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and even if they do have to hire more people and their profits go to that, as long as they're not making less, which I highly doubt that they would do.
Mm-hmm.
So, Susan, I don't think we ever got your vote on this one.
Okay, well, what is the vote? Because I could not even, I went to try and find that next question. I couldn't even find it in the...
The vote is if they should double their assets and continue to grow.
I don't know how they could, but of course they should, but I don't think it's going to be possible. So how do you vote? Should they double their assets and continue to grow? Of course they should. Okay, so I can vote yes, they should, but I don't know.
Why do you think it's not possible? What's your opinion on that?
Because his first venture already fizzled out, like your words. I don't think he had the dedication to learning enough about it to be able to do that.
Are we on the same case?
Yeah, I'm confused. I think we might have jumped back to the cake case.
Are you on the cake still?
Oh, so, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. That's why I couldn't find these questions. Oh, okay. So,
because he had this guy, the guy with the VC firm, had lots of really successful financial endeavors.
Yeah, he did really well.
Okay, so that's the reason that it hasn't been going so well. Okay, so what question number are you on?
We're on 5 of the Andreessen Horowitz case.
Oh my gosh, no wonder it didn't make sense.
Yeah, that would be confusing.
Okay. I was stuck on the other one. Oh my goodness. So, okay, this was a little bit confusing because the A16Z, I'm going, okay, could you pick an easier name to say?
Yeah. Well, it's easy to say Andreessen Horowitz.
Well, I just started calling it AH.
Yeah.
So
I think it's kind of clever.
I actually learned a lot about different things for this one because the angel investor, you were talking about that, and I go, oh, that's from the next one. Anyways, duh. So okay. So I don't know about my vote. I think it's always smart to try and double your assets. Of course, it's smart to try to expand that much. So my vote is definitely a yes.
Okay. So we all vote yes.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the meeting, so I got to timestamp that. Okay. Well, that's the last one.
Okay. I appreciate you guys helping me understand these cases a little bit better. I think with time, last week's cases, they were easier for me to understand than these. These ones had a lot of terms I didn't understand.
Right.
Yeah, they're more basic. This kind of delved more into kind of very specific business things.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you understand it, you guys, so that I will get there. But
yeah, I think that's what this is all designed for, Brent, for us to learn a lot, because I asked on the discussion board, what's an angel investor? Because I didn't know what that was. And
mm-hmm.
and the girl that answered it was really knowledgeable. Well, she had done a good search on it, and it's just really good to be able to learn, because this is a field that's totally Greek to me. Not completely,
Mm-hmm.
but it's good to learn and to question the little details that we don't understand, because that's how we learn. So
yeah. Investments is hard.
Yeah.
I'm an investment emphasis major with my finance, and there's just a lot of terms that you don't hear anywhere else that are only an investment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard, especially the VC, like the VC stuff is hard because I didn't even really understand that until I kind of did a little bit of research on it. They don't teach you anything about that in any of your classes, really.
I've never heard anything about it, so I'm glad that you knew a little bit. I need to do a little bit more research on it.
I mean, I graduated this semester and I still have never learned how to.
Well, that's what I learned most, was that the companies that they're what the cake company, I didn't know they had companies that put the venture capitalists and the startup companies. I didn't know that they had companies that put them together and invested it. You know, I didn't realize that it was such an industry.
Yeah, it's like investing in the stock market. You're just investing in a company. You know,
Right.
It's just these guys sit around in Silicon Valley or New York or where the big, startup places are. And they just get pitches all day, and then they pick which ones they want to invest in, and they give them something called Series A financing. So it's like getting a loan, but it's a little different because you get a lot of help from the firm in growing your business. So it's kind of nice because it's kind of like you get mentors, but like they were saying in the case, a lot of times these firms kind of try to take over your business, because they have a vested interest. They're thinking, oh, if this fails, I lose money, so I better make sure it doesn't fail. So,
if I understood the Andreessen Horowitz case, I pictured it as kind of them being brokers.
Yeah, they ran it more like that. Yeah, they did, because they kind of wanted to build this network and then be able to. They were more facilitating growth rather than doing the growth. Because a lot of times, like other VC firms would fire the CEOs or the founders, and they would hire whole new people into there, or they would do all the hiring for the firm. But instead, A16Z, they focus more on giving people the ability, teach a man to fish rather than giving him a fish type of aspect, and using their network. Yeah, kind of was like they were more brokers than they were venture capitalists. We lost Brent again. We lost you again.
Yeah, the library of all places, you think I have good Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi just cut out. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So can we just discuss that last question a little bit? It says, will you have to hire more operating team people? If so, will the partners actually make more money for doubling their assets, or will all the additional profits go to hire more people? So what do you guys think about that question?
Well, we talked a little about that earlier, kind of. I think the people that they hired, I mean, maybe even if I think they'll still make more money, but it's kind of their business model is that all the general partners kind of make the same. And I don't think that the people that are in there as general partners, I guess in the long run, they want to make more money. But I don't know if they're so serious about making more money, or they would have gone to a different venture capital firm where their salary is based upon their returns, where they could have had the potential to make tons of money. So, they are going to have to hire, I think they are going to have to hire more operating people. Their people aren't going to be able, and more partners, which means it splits the pie up more. And so they might not make as, a lot more money, but I think the people they have on board would be okay with that.
Yeah, and I agree with Andrew.
So do you think that it depends on the cost and the revenue, and what it all would have to be dependent on how much money the company makes, right?
Yeah. So if you double your assets, you're going to loan out more money.
Mm-hmm.
But, then I guess the question that they're asking is, even though we loan out more money, we receive more returns. So say we double our assets, we double our returns, right? So we go from making 100 million to 200 million. Well, will that 200 million, because they'll have to hire more partners. So instead of having 6 partners, maybe they have to have 12, because by doubling their assets, they're going to take on a lot more companies, a lot more startups.
But it's hopefully not going to use up that second $1 million to hire.
So that's the question.
Maybe they could get by with just four new people, and so they would make a little more at least.
Yeah, and that's why the first question asked, can the general partners reasonably support more companies? Because they're only doing 10 right now. So could they take on 15?
Right.
So I guess it's just, because the more partners you have, the more you have to split up the money, because each buys in and each is an equal share of the money. So.
Yep.
Okay, well, I think that was a pretty good discussion today. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Good. Andrew, are you going to send the link out to us?
Yeah, I will.
Do you want me to find the timestamp, or are you going to do that? I can do it if you want.
Why don't you go ahead and do it, since it's your week?
Okay.
So, I mean, it should just be I think within the first 10 minutes, and then probably the last 15 minutes. So if you just fast forward on the video, you probably find it pretty easily. Okay,
not a problem. And then do I post that link to the discussion board, or I post it in our reflection quizzes, or both, or what? How do you guys? I haven't done it, so I'm not sure.
It goes to reflection. It goes to reflection quizzes, and then it also goes to. No, we don't think we have to post it on the discussion board, just to the reflection quiz. I said post on discussion board because then it's easy for us to access.
Okay, I'll do that too.
So, Brent, can I get your email real quick?
Yeah, my BYUI email is JON.
GA?
J as in Jones.
Oh, J.
JON 13023 at byui.edu.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah.
But you're going to do this next week?
Sure. Yep. We'll use the same link. So everybody, the link that I emailed you, just put it somewhere and save it.
Okay.
And that way we can just click on it again and get back into this group.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you.
Thanks.